This is the jib crane that I built. I'm going to show you around the jib crane that I built, starting at the bottom. I built a dolly using 1-inch conduit, and the conduit is 30 inches long, 3 pieces. I welded them together, and then I went and got the casters from Home Depot or Lowe's and welded them to the bottom of the dolly. They have the brakes, and I made sure I went through about 2 different boxes to get the tightest bearings on the wheels so it won't move a lot. The tripod is a surveyor's tripod. The surveyor's tripod has a Davidson-Sanford FM18 video head, and up here is the yoke that I built for the tripod. The entire jib crane is made out of steel. I chose steel over aluminum because aluminum tends to give you some bounce, and I don't feel it is as strong as steel. This jib crane, and it's a small one, only weighs in at about 30 to 35 pounds, so that's even with the counterweights, so it's not really super heavy. The yoke is 1x2 rectangular tubing, and it's a 1/16 of an inch thick. The boom is 1-inch square tubing. It also is a 1/16 of an inch thick. The yoke is welded to 1/4-inch plate, and it is a little heavy and beefy, but I always feel that the base of the entire jib should be nice and sturdy and strong, and that's why I chose the steel and the rectangular tubing. Now, the measurements for the yoke is 10 inches. The top bolt is 9 inches from the bottom. In between the 2 bolts is 4 inches. And the distance between the 2 bars on the yoke right here is 2 inches. Whenever you're building your jib crane, what's very important is the yoke. The yoke, I feel, is the most important part of the entire jib build. And whenever you're building it, whenever you drill your hole through your beam and you put your bolt through, what I'm seeing a lot of people do is just drill a hole through everything and stick a bolt, and they're letting it rub on whatever they're using. And what I mean by that is they're taking a bolt and you're drilling a hole through, in this case, this steel tubing, and whenever you put the bolt through a hole, all it's going to do is ride on that little bit there. Now, this isn't the right size, but you can see what I'm talking about. What you need to do is you need to get a plastic bushing with a shoulder on it. Now, I believe at Home Depot or Lowe's you can get bronze. They're a lot more expensive, but you can get these on the internet and they're relatively inexpensive. And what you'll do is you'll drill a bigger hole than you need. I'm using a 3/8 bolt. The hole is much bigger than 3/8. You will put the bushing in there, and then whenever the bolt goes through the boom, it's actually going through and riding on a plastic bushing, which is inside. That will let your boom just glide up and down. It's not going to wear either the bolt or the material that you're using for the boom, and I think is one of the most important things you need to do when you're building your jib crane, and it's not really that much more difficult. At the front of the jib crane, what I did was I took a piece of sheet metal and I bent it and made a channel or a U out of it. Now, this is 6 inches long. I came down 1 inch and drilled the hole for the top, and then again 4 inches again is the difference between these 2 bolts, just like on the yoke. That keeps everything equal when it goes up and down. Also, again, I put the plastic bushings in here to make it slide real nice and easy. Here you can see where through the channel or the U-shaped sheet metal that I bent, I drilled the holes here into it to mount this aluminum bracket that holds the camera. Now, this aluminum bracket is 1/8 inch thick and 3 inches wide, and you don't want to go too much in length, because even with this aluminum bracket, and I have a gusset you can see underneath here holding it, you can see that it does get a little shaky. So you want to keep the distance at a minimum, and if you can put a bracket in here. Now, I mounted a tripod head on here, and you can mount the camera directly onto the aluminum. I have 3 different holes for that position, or you can put it a video head that will let you move the camera. Now, this is my controller, and it controls the zoom in and out, and also lets me stop and start the recording. And I have it on the handle for the tilt. And this is my portable DVD player, which I run the cables up to the camera and use this as the monitor. And the way I have this hooked up, that it will swing around for me while I'm operating the boom if I need to put it in a different position to see what I'm doing. Now, this part I'm calling the counter boom. The other part I'm calling the boom, because this part is the front of the jib crane that lifts up and booms your camera up. This part is the counterpart of the boom, or the counter boom, and that's where you put your counterweights at. Now, what I did here was, this is 1-inch square tubing, and this is 3/4-inch square tubing, which slides in. The 3/4-inch square tubing, I drilled holes 1-inch apart that will let me slide this in and out and put a bolt to keep it at that adjustment. Then you can just put your weight on here, and that's how you get your counterweight for your camera. The entire length of the beam is 6 feet. The boom, which is from the center of the yoke out, is 4 feet, which leaves 2 feet back here. With this 4-foot section, and with this tripod, the top of the video head is sitting at 52 inches. So if your video head is at 52 inches and your yoke, the bolt is 9 inches from the top of the video head, whenever you raise this all the way up, I will measure it and tell you what the total height is. From this camera to the floor is 8 feet 8 inches. As I started to use this, what I found out is that not only is the Bogan tripod not adequate, this video head, if you will look at it right here, all I have to do is go like this, and you can see it shaking badly. You can see the camera shaking badly. That's how much play is in this video head, and the more you use it on something like this, you're just going to destroy this video head. So that's one of the reasons why you may have noticed that this really isn't put together correctly. I just slapped this together to just show you what I had. Normally you would have spacers in between here to keep these bars from moving, and same as at the front. And I would have everything hooked up to show you how everything works when I'm using it correctly. But there's no reason to do that, because I'm not going to use it in this configuration, because I'm going to tear this video head up. It's just not sturdy enough, and I will show you what I'm going to be doing to take care of that. The other thing that I thought was really going to be nice is the tilt on this. If you loosen the tilt, which I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, and there it goes. The problem with the tilt, anytime someone shows you that they're tilting their jib crane, a lot of times they don't have the counterweight or the camera on it. Also, the problem that I have is, because this is so tall, I have a lot of my pivoting weight a lot higher than some other people's jib cranes, but yet I'm allowed to really reach a lot higher. The problem is, again, because there's weight and it's kind of high, I've got one hand on the bar moving it up and down. I have one hand on the controller focusing in and out, and if I adjust it just right, whenever I go up with the camera, I will be able to make it go forward and backwards. But I have my hands full, and at any second, this thing can just lurch forward. And I have had numerous times already, and I've only used this crane twice, where I've had to let go of my control arm and actually grab my jib crane to keep it from collapsing and falling down just like that. So you really have to be careful if you're going to be using that setup. Again, I've abandoned that because that's not going to work for me.